Hi everybody, welcome to Ingvid.com. I'm Adam. In today's video, I want to talk to you a little bit more about cultural English. Now, if you come to an English-speaking country, you will notice that a lot of the things people say are in reference to something from culture, especially movies or music or things like that. And if you're not familiar with these cultural things, it may be very difficult to understand what they're trying to say. So today I'm going to give you a few of these examples to show you how people refer to movie situations when they're talking about real life situations, okay? So we're going to start with these three. And I'm using all three because they all come from the same movie, The Wizard of Oz. Now, actually I should write The Wizard. Now, this is a very famous movie from, I think, 1940s, maybe. It's a very old movie, but even kids today watch this movie. I personally don't know anybody who hasn't seen this movie. So it's the story of Dorothy, who gets a tornado takes her house to basically Oz, the land of Oz, and she has to find the wizard so he can help her go home back to Kansas, okay? So a few of the things that happen here. At the end of the movie, Dorothy finally reaches the Emerald City where the wizard lives, and she goes to the wizard's office, I guess you could say, or his studio. And there's a big like face, and it's like all lights and smoke and shadows and stuff. And he's telling her all these things. And then Dorothy's dog, Toto, goes to a curtain and pulls the curtain. And you can see a little old man pressing all the buttons to make the wizard look big and powerful. So when you say to see behind the curtain means to see the truth of how something works. And it's generally a little disappointing. So a lot of people believe that the government is made up of very strong, very smart, very capable people. But if you actually look very closely, if you look behind the curtain, you'll see that they're just regular everyday people who are greedy and who want power and who are taking advantage of their situation. So you see the truth of a situation. And that comes from the movie very clearly. Also in the movie, one of the characters is the Tin Man. He's made of tin and he's always getting rusty, so they always have to give him oil. But he goes with Dorothy to see the Wizard of Oz because he wants to have a heart, because he's just made of tin, right? So sometimes if we refer to someone as the Tin Man, basically what we're saying is he has no heart, right? If somebody is very cold or very unemotional, or like, for example, if you see a dog, somebody kicking a dog, and it happens, like you don't care, you don't get emotionally moved, then people will call you Tin Man. Come on, Tin Man, get a heart, go help the dog or something like that, right? But very commonly referred to in that particular situation. And the Yellow Brick Road. So for Dorothy to get to the Emerald City where the wizard is, she has to follow the Yellow Brick Road. It's a road made of yellow bricks, and it's the only road that goes all the way to the Emerald City. But at the end of the Yellow Brick Road is all her wishes come true, right? All the things that she wants. So follow the Yellow Brick Road means go on and try to get your dreams, follow your dreams. There's something good at the end of the process of something, right? So if let's say you get a job and you say you're starting at the bottom level and you're getting a little bit discouraged, and somebody will say, don't worry, this is just the Yellow Brick Road. At the end, you'll get everything you want. You'll get all your wishes, right? So these three situations are part of everyday English, part of everyday dialogue, and they all come from the same movie. Now, there are actually a lot of movies that are often referenced, but I'm just going to give you a few examples and you can start paying attention to other movies. The more popular the movie, the more likely there's something from the movie that will stand out and people will repeat. Next, we're going to look at the movie The Matrix with Keanu Reeves and Neo and Trinity and all that. And we talk about red pill, blue pill. So if you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the movie, there's a point where one of the characters offers another character a choice. Take the red pill or take the blue pill. If you take the red pill, you will see the truth of reality. All the fake stuff will disappear and you will wake up in the truth. And the problem is, the truth is often ugly. Whereas the blue pill, you can go on living in your fantasy. And fantasy obviously is fantasy. It's good. Everything is good, nothing to worry about. Life is beautiful, right? We have an expression in English. It's ignorance is bliss. And in fact, this expression is used in the movie, but it's a very common expression. Ignorance is bliss. Bliss is peace, peacefulness. Ignorance is peaceful because you don't have anything to worry about. You don't see the ugly truth. So if somebody refuses to see the truth, we can say, oh, this guy took the blue pill, right? Oh, he took the blue pill. He doesn't want to listen. This guy took the red pill means he's ready to be an activist or he's ready to make some change. So if you're watching, let's say you're watching a particular news channel, and most people realize that this channel is feeding the public a lot of lies, but you continue to watch it and you continue to believe everything they say, people might say that you took the blue pill and don't want to face reality, the truth. Next, Karate Kid, also a very famous movie. It's pretty old, I guess. I think it's like mid-1980s. It's about a young boy who moves to California and he goes to school and some kids are bullying him and these kids they know how to do karate and they beat him up. But the person who takes care of the building where he lives is a Japanese man, Mr. Miyagi. He's also famous, Mr. Miyagi. And he teaches him karate. But he teaches him in a very unusual way. He doesn't teach him actual karate moves. He makes him do chores around the house. He makes him paint the fence, he makes him sand his deck, and then he makes him clean his cars. He has like a whole collection of old cars. So he's teaching him how to put wax on the car. So he says, wax on, wax off. So then Danny, the kid, he just starts waxing. He goes, no. Wax on like this, wax off like that, and make sure you do it this way. And now, basically, at the end, you find out that he's teaching him karate by showing him particular movements. This is one block, this is the other block. So by doing the waxing, he learns something very complicated. So we often say this, when something looks a little bit too simple, it actually is leading to something very valuable. Wax on, wax off. Do whatever you're doing because eventually it's leading to something better and stronger and bigger. Okay? So a little bit interesting expression there. Jedi mind tricks. Now, I guess most people have probably seen at least one or two Star Wars movies, but this is a very famous movie franchise. And Jedi mind tricks are things that you do with your mind to make other people do things or make things happen that shouldn't happen naturally. So for example, if I go to a bar, let's say I'm a big nerd and I'm not very good looking, and I go to a bar and there's a very beautiful woman there and I want to talk to her. So I'm there with my friends and I say, I'm going to go talk to her. And they're thinking like, there's no way. She's way out of your league. You can't have her. She's too beautiful. So I go over there and I talk to her and she talks to me and we're having a good time and we're having a few drinks. And my friends, they're very confused. They don't know how I did it. So finally they think, oh, Jedi mind tricks. So I use a mind trick to convince that woman to talk to me and be with me. Something that I shouldn't be able to do, I do. People say it's unnatural. So I'm using some mind trick, like I learned from the Jedis, from Yoda or whatever. Hope that's a little bit clear there. So next, so Groundhog Day. So Groundhog Day is the actual name of the movie. That's why I just put a check there. In this movie, a character, he goes to a little town where they do groundhog. So a little bit of background. In North America, every winter, there's a special day called a Groundhog Day. A groundhog is like a small animal that lives in the ground in winter. And one day in winter, the groundhog comes up and looks around, and we think if the groundhog sees its shadow and runs back into the ground, that means another 6 weeks of winter. If the groundhog comes up and doesn't see a shadow and comes out of the hole, another 6 weeks until spring, then if he doesn't see his shadow and comes out, spring is coming very soon. That's the superstition. In Groundhog Day, this character goes there and then goes to sleep at night And the next morning when he wakes up, it's the exact same day. It's still Groundhog Day, and everything happens again. And he goes through the day, he's all confused. And then at night he goes to sleep. And the next morning he wakes up and it's Groundhog Day again. The same day happens again. And it keeps happening and keeps happening. He lives the same day over and over again. And at the beginning, he gets so frustrated, he tries to kill himself. But even if he kills himself, the next morning he wakes up and it's a Groundhog Day. So finally he understands, instead of trying to kill himself, he should take advantage of this extra time. And he starts to learn to play the piano and reads books and learns languages and basically makes himself a better person. Today we use Groundhog Day when we're talking about routine and repetition. So a lot of people, if I say to you, like, for example, if you work in an office, do you like your job? Oh no, it's Groundhog Day there. I'm ready to kill myself. Because every day is the same. You get so bored, you're ready to shoot yourself in the head just to end the boredom and the monotony. So when something is repeating and repeating and repeating, we call it Groundhog Day. And it's usually in a negative way, not the better person kind of way. And lastly, I think most people probably know what a muggle is. It's from the movie, or from the book, I guess, originally, Harry Potter. A muggle is a person who doesn't understand magic. So these days, a lot of, especially young people, say about somebody, if he or she is a muggle, it means no imagination, no creativity, maybe a little bit of a boring person, a little bit old-fashioned, etc. So they don't like him, they stay away, and they go do their own thing. Okay? Now, again, this is not so much about English as much as it is about understanding English speakers, because they do refer to these movies, they do refer to other cultural elements, and if you're not familiar with these elements, you might not understand what they're actually saying to you, because it has nothing to do with English. You can understand Yellow Brick Road, but it means nothing to you unless you know this movie, The Wizard of Oz. Okay, so pay attention to these kinds of references, and if you're not sure what it means, don't be afraid to ask. Or even look it up in the internet, but again, better to ask somebody who can explain it to you at the moment, so you can see how it works in the context of the moment. Okay? So that's it for today. If you have any questions about any of these expressions, please go to ingvid.com and ask me in the comments section. There's also a quiz if you're not sure how these work and you want to test yourself a little bit more. So you can take the quiz there. And that's it. Yeah. If you like the video, please give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell to get notifications of future videos. And come back soon. We'll do this again, give you some more interesting English tips, I guess you could say. See you then. Bye-bye.